Note: please do not use ancestry kits as a paternity test. If you genuinely want to check your child as your own, get a proper paternity test at your local medical lab. Ancestry tests are not accurate, and should not be used to test paternity. In my case, it simply raised the alarm to get a proper test. I apologize if this is not an appropriate sub to ask. I posted this on r/relationships, but it was locked, and the mod suggested I ask on r/parenting. But I also want relationship advice on how to deal with my wife, so I want to ask for advice here, too. First of all, I'm sorry if this ends up being long and rambly. I am not really in the best state of mind. My world has been turned upside down over the last couple of weeks. I just want to write as much context as possible so I can get the best advice needed. For obvious reasons, I am not yet comfortable talking about this with my friends/parents/siblings. Background: I met my wife when we were in high school and we married in college. We have 5 beautiful children together. Really, I consider them a total blessing regardless of what I'm about to bring up, and up until a couple of weeks ago I thought that we had the perfect marriage. We were typical high school sweethearts. We go out together, we never fight. I feel like I've done everything a loving husband should do. I am saying this not to make myself out as the perfect husband. For example, my work has always meant I work long hours and maybe haven't always been there when she needed me, but I want to stress that I've never felt our marriage was in any trouble. And never in a million years would I ever have suspected my wife of being disloyal. She's always done everything she could to support me and take care of our children. Now, my eldest daughter recently had an ancestry test done. And the results of the ancestry test strongly suggested I was not her father. She confided this to me privately, showing me the results, and I could tell she was visibly upset by this. Of course, the first thing I did was reassure her that no matter what, she's my daughter and I'll always love her unconditionally. But secondly, the two of us decided to get an official paternity test since the ancestry tests are not completely reliable. It comes back and I am indeed not her biological father. This news really broke me. I'm ashamed to say I broke down in tears in front of my daughter. The combination of finding out about my wife's infidelity and how upset I was making my daughter by how I was reacting. I really wish I had kept it in for her sake, but I didn't. Following this, I asked my other children, except my youngest, to come and see me. I wanted to know the extent of my wife's infidelity. If it was a one-off, I could maybe work past it, especially given how long ago it would be. However, I didn't want to tell my youngest as she is still in school, a teenager, and really I didn't think it was appropriate to tell her yet. We tell the other 3 what has happened. I reassure them that I love them unconditionally and that I'll always be their dad, but that I need to know how long this has been going on. God, I can't begin to explain how touching their reaction was. They didn't care I wasn't their biological father, they were just upset at how heartbroken I was. I feel like the only thing that has kept me going these last couple of weeks is their unwavering support. So we have paternity tests for each of the 3 done. Not only are none of them my biological children, together 4 of my children have 3 different fathers. Which somehow made it worse. It's like, she wasn't just having an ongoing affair, she was having multiple? I can't explain how this make it worse, but it just is. So I confront my wife with this, expecting her to confess and beg for forgiveness. She doesn't confess. She doesn't even take it seriously. She says the tests must be flawed. All 4? How the hell am I supposed to take that seriously? I keep bringing it up and she keeps brushing it off, getting progressively more annoyed at me. When I bring it up, she will try and guilt trip me. We've been together since high school, do you seriously not trust me? Etc. But how am I supposed to trust her in the face of such overwhelming evidence? Now that I have rambled and explained what has happened, I guess let me ask a few direct questions for advice. How can I reassure my children this doesn't change anything between us? I feel like the way I have reacted, total breakdowns, has made them second guess this despite however many times I reassure them. How do I handle my youngest daughter? I feel like our marriage is beyond saving, and I will need to tell my daughter something. I don't want her to know the truth until she's older, but I also don't want my wife lying and making me out to be the villain. Is there any way at all, you think I could or should save my marriage? I've been with my wife my entire life. It's almost impossible to see a life without her. I know that the answer should be a clear-cut leave her, but we have 5 kids together. If there's anything that can be done to save our marriage, I want to consider it seriously. Edit. Thanks so much to everyone for all the support and advice. I have not replied to as many comments as I should have, but I've read each and every one and taken your advice to heart. I'll continue reading any comments or messages you send me. Again, I can't begin to thank you for all your support. If this is resolved, I might post an update, but if she continues to lie, then I don't think I'll bother, as there's not much more I can add. From the advice in this and the r/parenting thread, I've decided to get second tests just in case some freak accident has occurred. Confront my wife with all 4 of my older children present. Tell my youngest of the situation. Ask her if she wants to have a paternity test. It will be entirely her decision. I'm 100% going to get some form of therapy. My mental state has really been deteriorating over the last couple of weeks, and I owe it to my kids to hold it together. Depending on whether my wife tells the truth, and what her explanation is, if any. I have not ruled out some form of counseling. But at the moment I think divorce is inevitable unless she changes her attitude drastically. Contact a lawyer and prepare for divorce, if it comes to that once again. I'd like to thank all of you for the time you took to express your support and share advice. Edit 2. I guess I should clarify some things that people have been asking. How did the ancestry results suggest I wasn't her father? My family is entirely Irish. No relatives outside of Ireland other than my immediate family, and I even have the stereotypical red hair. My daughter's ancestry results showed nothing from the British Isles/Western Europe/Northern Europe. That's what set off alarm bells, but it's by no means conclusive, hence the paternity tests. Which 2 children share the same father? My 2 eldest daughters share the same father. How did your wife conceive your children? Our eldest daughter was not planned. All the others were planned. Each time we conceived several months after we started trying. Our first 3 planned children were both our ideas, while she pressured me into having our youngest. She was in her late 30s and wanted one last child before it was too late, and eventually I agreed. She was conceived several months after we started trying, too. Are you infertile? I don't know. I've never had a fertility test done. But the fact that none of our planned children are mine makes me think that I might be. I will have a fertility test as soon as possible. Oop also posted the same post in our /parenting and our /relationships, but both instances were removed. Overall, commenters in all 3 subreddits were encouraging Oop to tell his youngest, consult a lawyer before confronting his wife, and trying another paternity test in case the first one was wrong. All of the important questions and suggestions are addressed in the edits to the original post. First update, April 2, 2019, posted in Oop's profile. I have received a lot of messages/comments asking about an update, and countless. Remind me comments, I am unsure how they work, but I assume they are also after an update. I will post an update, but it will not be anytime soon. This entire mess will take a long time to, well, make any sense out of. I don't know when I will post an update, but it will be weeks from now at a minimum, if not months. But I promise it will come eventually. Once again, thanks for the tremendous support everyone has shown me. Second and final update, March 1, 2020, also posted on Oop's profile. I have been debating whether or not to post an update, because nothing was ever resolved. I decided I would post it here in case anyone is still waiting for one. I apologize for not updating early when I promised I would dot my kids and I confronted their mother shortly after making that Reddit post. It really didn't go well. I think the prospect that no one believed her finally hit home, because she completely broke down and apologized profusely, but refused to explain herself, or anything that would give myself peace of mind. For the next few weeks we barely said a word to each other. I was hoping she was thinking it over, and I expected her to eventually sit me down and explain herself. I figured she was so far deep in a lie that got out of control, she needed time to think things over. Nope. I came home one evening to find she had committed suicide by overdosing. So I lost the love of my life, and I'll never know what mistakes she had made. I really wish I could go back in time and forget about it all. Whatever mistakes she made, I honestly wanted to work through it, and now I'm just riddled with guilt that I pressed her for an answer. The worst part of this entire ordeal was watching my kids work so hard to keep me together, after having lost their mother. Anyway, please tell your family you love them while you have the chance. On to the next story. Story 2. So me, 53M, and my wife Rose, 53F, had our older daughter Sarah, 31F, when we were 22. We were young and broke, but managed, and now we raised Sarah the best we could. She got pregnant at 15. It was a very depressing time for her. She had to go to therapy, and never told us anything about the father, which always upset her, so we never pushed the issue. She originally wanted to terminate, but kept canceling, and eventually told us she wanted to give her up for adoption. But 5 months into the pregnancy, when she was discussing with a social worker for a couple to adopt, the couple dropped out of the adoption. After trying to find more couples, Sarah asked us if we wanted to adopt. Me and Rose were both 38 at this point, and we had both been discussing having another child, so we ended up adopting our daughter Ellie when Sarah had her at 16. 2 years after Ellie, me and my wife had our son Logan, 13, biologically. Growing up we always planned on telling Ellie she was adopted, but we knew with telling her that, we had to tell her Sarah was her bio mother. Sarah never became close with Ellie, not even as C-tears. She moved out after the birth and lived with Rose's sister. She has always shown sisterly love to her Logan, but never towards Ellie. There has always been conflicting feelings with Sarah. I have seen posts on Sarah's Instagram where she posted a picture of what was supposed to be the 5 of us, but Ellie was cut out. I confronted her about this and she says it's too painful. However, a couple years ago she showed up drunk begging us to let us see her daughter. We talked to her and let her stay but did not let her near Ellie since she was drunk. We found out from her husband she had suffered several miscarriages and was told to consider a surrogate. She ended up doing that 4 years ago and has since had twins Jack and Jill, 3M and F, who are biologically hers. Ellie has loved being an aunt to the twins, and Sarah has encouraged this with Ellie, and has been inviting Ellie over her house for family time with Logan, who loves being an uncle. We have asked Sarah that in light of the twins, and Ellie being close to them, wouldn't it be time to tell Ellie the truth, but Sarah keeps claiming she is not ready. Recently Ellie came to us and has told us she is pregnant. This time it is a completely different situation. We have met the father, he is a childhood friend of hers, and they decided they wanted to lose their virginities to each other. We had the talk with Ellie long ago, as we did with Sarah. We approached the situation calmly and have since met with the father and his parents. Ellie is insistent on keeping the baby. She is 3 months along. We have not told Sarah yet. We do not know how to approach the situation. We don't know how she will be able to take it. Me and my wife are considering telling Ellie the truth, but we need Sarah to be there. Relevant comments from Oop. Haunted Edu, did you ever consider Sarah was raped and that's why she never told you about the father, wanted to terminate, and is incredibly distant from her daughter because she is the offspring of a rapist? Just a passing thought. OP, yes, she has never said anything, but we have always suspected that is what happened. Her therapist would be the only person who knows, but whatever is said stays between them. Lion Avon, please discuss contraception with your son if you haven't already. Also, why is her being pregnant a nudge to tell her she is your other daughter's biological child? Wouldn't that be a bit much just this second? OP, yeah, we might hold off on telling her, but at the same time we don't know how Sarah will react finding out Ellie is pregnant. We have had the talk with all 3 of our children about contraception. They didn't want to use protection the first time, and thought being careful would not risk pregnancy. Transportation Fund 219, I did think this straight away, wonder what will happen when one of them does off-the-shelf DNA test, probably will happen at some point. OP, I would not do a DNA test without Ellie knowing anything, because if Sarah was assaulted I would not want him around Ellie. Update, November 7, 2023. So I decided to write in an update as I'm still getting messages on this account. First I want to address the main issue. I was wondering about advice on what to do after finding about my daughter Ellie 15 is pregnant, but that we had the exact same situation with her older sister Sarah 31, who is actually Ellie's biological mother. Well, I decided to just focus on helping out Ellie, who is 4 months pregnant. We didn't want to stress her out by telling her about the adoption yet. In fact, we know we should have already told her a long time ago, despite Sarah's emotions on the matter. It's not like we even knew the details on Ellie's father, so that would have been Sarah's talk, but we as Ellie's parents still should have told her the truth when she was younger. A week after I made the post, Ellie told family about the pregnancy. She had since told my parents, her boyfriend's grandparents, and then of course, she has told Sarah. Sarah didn't react well, but told her she would support her. Of course Sarah reached out to us after, very upset, but said she was ready to talk to Ellie, first about the adoption with us, and she said that she wanted to tell Ellie about her father alone. We sat down and had the discussion. Ellie was of course upset, but calmed down after a while. She of course had questions about her father. Sarah had that discussion with her. At the time I didn't know what she was told, and it was none of our business, but Ellie told us she knows who he is, and said she didn't want to reach out, so we moved on after that. The other day I got a call from my sister-in-law Renee, 31F, my brother's wife. She was angry and was asking what kind of sick ideas was Sarah putting in Ellie's head. She started mentioning stuff about Ellie's adoption, so after I got her to calm down she told me what happened. She claimed that Ellie had messaged my brother Ethan, 32, and told him about the adoption and wanted to talk to him. This confused me because me and Ethan don't talk much. We were never really close because we are 21 years apart. He was my mother's late child and he always got along with mine and our sister's kids as they were all around the same age, and Ellie only saw him on the holidays, so telling him about the details in her life didn't make sense. Renee explained to me that Ellie claimed that Ethan was her father because that is what Sarah had told her and told him that he was going to be a grandpa. I had to sit down for a while. I called Sarah and we had a long conversation. She told me that yes, it was true that Ethan is Ellie's biological father. Sarah and Ethan were close when they were young. They were only 8 months apart. Sarah says that when they went thought puberty feelings changed and that every time she went to her grandmother's they would hide away from everyone and have their own time. Sarah was upset talking about this but told me that he never assaulted her and that it was always consensual. She never wanted to tell me because she was ashamed of the fact that the father of her baby was her uncle. I have since talked to Ethan as well. He denied it to Ellie over text but told me that it was true. We exchanged a few words back and forth. Even if this was consensual, how could he sleep with his own niece? He had all these but I wasn't hearing it. He knew of the pregnancy and being Ellie's father the whole time, and he never even bothered to step up to say anything. I have talked to Ellie about it. She says she was upset when she found out, but she always thought she looked like my stepdad's side of the family. It upset me when she mentioned that because honestly I see it, it's pretty obvious now. I always knew that Ellie favored whoever her father was because she didn't look like anyone on our side, but I never suspected Ethan. My mother and stepdad have found out and Ethan told Renee it was true. She has left with their kids to stay with her family. Ethan has tried to reach out to Ellie now, but I don't want her speaking to him. I'm still her father and I don't think she is safe being in touch with him. Ellie has shown no interest in talking. I asked her why she reached out to him before talking to Sarah or us about it, and she said she just wanted to know his side of the story, but feels betrayed for being lied to. Relevant comments. Commentator asks about family tree to clarify up relationships. OP, I apologize, the reason I was so specific about it is cause it's the reason we have always been distant. My father died when I was 20, and we were all devastated. My mother was as well, but then told us months after my father died she was pregnant by a coworker. They married 3 months before Ethan was born. Although we are distant, I'm the closest sibling who communicates. None of my sisters have anything to do with him. Gracie, Sarah should have fessed up at the start. Did Ethan know Ellie was his when she was adopted? Surely it was no surprise. How could he go 15 years living a lie? Sarah too. This is so messed up. OP, Ethan knew about being the father of Sarah's baby. He wanted Sarah to abort, which is why she wanted to abort in the beginning, but she decided on adoption. Crypto_gambler 952, maybe it's time that you older daughter do for her daughter what you did for her. OP, Ellie and her boyfriend fully intend on raising this baby as their own, with the support of me and my wife and his parents.